What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a local restaurant finder by creating a simple workflow in Anytime. Let's get started. In Anytime, I've created a workflow that I've renamed to local restaurant finder. And here, we're going to add a trigger. I'm going to use Telegram to trigger a workflow. So here, I'll search for Telegram and click on Telegram over here. Here, our trigger will be an on message trigger over here. Here, you'll need to create a new credential over here by clicking on create a new credential. Then add your access token over here to create your credential. And come over here and click on save to create your credential. To get your access token, search for bot further in Telegram. And then here, add /start. Here, you're going to add /new bot to create a new bot. Then here, you're going to give your bot a name. It should be a name that is not already taken. And then after you find a name that is not taken for your bot, you're going to get this access token over here. So all you have to do is just copy it and then come and paste it right here. Then click on save to create your credential. Since I had already done that, I'm going to close it over here. And then here, I'll click on execute step to trigger our node. So to do that, I'll click on execute step over here. And then I'll go back to our workflow and then click on my bot over here. And then here, I'll add a voice message over here. So you can say, find me the best restaurants in New York City. And then now here you can see we've submitted our voice note. And here we're getting our file over here. Here, I'll click on back to canvas over here, and we can pin this voice note over here as we continue to set up our workflow. Now the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to get our file. So in Telegram, I'm going to search for the get a file node over here, and then click on it. And here we're going to add our file ID. Our file ID will be the file ID over here. And then here I'll click on execute step to get our file. You can see we got our file over here. Now with our file over here, we can go ahead and transcribe it. So to transcribe it, I'm going to use OpenAI. So on OpenAI, I'm going to click on transcribe a recording. And then here, I'll click on execute step to transcribe our recording. Here, you can see we are transcribing our voice recording, which is on the lines of find me the best restaurants in New York City. Here, I'll click on back to canvas over here. Now here, we're going to add an AI node that converts our file text into a JSON, where we are outputting restaurants that would like to scrape in a specific city. So to do that, here I'll click on back to canvas, and here I'll search for AI, then click on OpenAI node right here, and here I'll click on message model. Here you'll need to create a credential like we did previously with other nodes by clicking on create a new credential. Then from your OpenAI API, add your API key right here, then click on save to create your credential. Since I had already done that, I'm going to close it, and here I'm going to choose our model that we're going to use. Here you can choose the latest model, which is GPT-5. It's the latest model that we're using currently, but instead I'm going to choose 4.1 mini, and here we're going to add a prompt for the system role over here. Now the prompt could be on the lines of, you're a helpful assistant that returns JSON only, and here we're going to add a message for a user role over here. To do that, I'll click on expression, expand it so we can add the prompt over here. The prompt could be on the lines of, you receive a transcription of spoken text. Then we are dragging the transcription right here. Extract the main category of thing being requested, for example, local restaurant, and the location mentioned, for example, New York. The transcription is find me local restaurants in New York. Here, we're going to output the category, which will be local restaurants, and the location, which will be New York over here. So now let us try to do that over here with our workflow. So here, we're going to output content as JSON, and then I'll click on execute step over here to output our category and our location exactly how we want it. This is amazing. So here, I'll click on back to canvas over here, and then I'll rename this to category and location extractor. Then I'll click on rename over here. Now the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to scrape restaurants in this specific location. So to do that, I'm going to use this tool called Apify. Apify is an incredible tool that you can use to scrape any website and automate projects. So to get 30% off your first subscription to this tool, just click the link down below in the description. Then go ahead and create an account in Apify. And after creating an account in Apify, head over to Apify store over here. Then here we're going to search for Google Maps scraper. Then here I'm going to click on search. Here you can see we have over 300 tools that we can use to scrape Google Maps. So to scrape restaurants from a specific location, I'm going to use this tool over here. So I'll open this tool on a new tab. This is the tool that we're going to use to scrape restaurants in our location. All you have to do is add the search term right here. For example, we're going to add restaurants in our specific location over here, and the number of restaurants that you like to scrape in this specific location. You can try to scrape only 10 restaurants. You can choose the language over here. You can also perform search filters and categories over here. You can also add additional place details over here for more filtered results. You can also add company contact enrichments over here. You can also add business leads enrichment over here. You can also add the number of reviews from the restaurant, images. You can also define the search area by other geolocation parameters over here instead of adding the search term right here. You can also scrape the restaurants with Google Maps URL or place ID instead of using the search term right here. Lastly, you can scrape places without search terms or URLs. I'm going to choose to scrape our restaurants from this location over here by adding our search term over here, and then here I'll click on save and start. You can see that our actor is getting our data. Let's give it a second for it to complete scraping our restaurants. Here you can see that our tool succeeded in scraping 10 restaurants from our specific location over here. So here we got the place name over here we got the place name, total score, reviews count, the street address, city, state, country code, the website, phone number, category name, and the Google Maps URL of this specific location over here. So this is incredible. So this is the tool that we're going to use to scrape the restaurants for us over here using our workflow. So to do that, here I'll search for the HTTP request node over here. Then I'll click on the HTTP request node. Then here we're going to add a CURL to automatically scrape the restaurants right here in our workflow. So to do that, I'll open Apify's API documentation, and then I'll scroll to find the API that we'd like to call. In our case, we'd like to run an actor, so I'll search for run an actor, then click on run actor synchronously with input and get dataset items. On the right, I'm going to copy this URL. Then I'll go back to our workflow. Yeah, I'm going to click on import URL and paste our URL over here. Then click on import. Now here, we're going to add 3 items. The first item that we're going to add is the actor ID. Second item we're going to add is the token. And the last item that we're going to add over here is our JSON here. So let's start by adding the first item, which is the actor ID over here. To get the actor ID, I'll go back to our tool over here. Then I'm going to copy the unique ID of this tool from the search URL. So the unique ID of this tool is in the search URL, so I'll copy it and then come and paste it right here. The next thing that we're going to add is our API token right here. To get our API token, I'm going to click on settings, and then I'll click on API and integrations over here. And then here, I'll create a new token, and then I'll give it a description as says. Then here I'll click on create. And then with our token created, I'm going to copy it, then I'll paste it over here. Now the next thing that we're going to add is our JSON over here. So where it says specify body, I'm going to click on using JSON to add our JSON over here. To get our JSON, I'll click on our tool over here, and then where it says manual in JSON, click on JSON. And then here, I'll copy this JSON, then I'll go back to our workflow. Here I'll click on expression, expand it right here so we can add our JSON. So I'll paste our JSON over here. So now here, instead of manually inputting our location, we're going to map the location over here. And then here, instead of search term over here, we're going to map it over here. So we're going to map it the category over here. And then I'll click on back to canvas over here. Then here, I'll click on execute step to create 10 restaurants from our specific location over here. Here you can see that our node was executed successfully, and we're getting a total of 10 restaurants that we scraped automatically right here in our workflow. So when I click on table and scroll right here, you can see the 10 restaurants that we scraped using our workflow over here. So we're scraping a total of 10 restaurants. This is amazing. So we're getting the name of the restaurant, the price range, category name, address, neighborhood, postal code, country, their website URL, phone number, location, and all this relevant information right here to each restaurant. So here, since our node works perfectly, I'll rename this to local restaurant finder, then click on rename over here. Now, the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to use AI to suggest dining options based on the cuisine and the reviews of the restaurant. So in AI, I'm going to click on OpenAI. Okay, here I'm going to click on message a model. Here we're going to choose a model. I'm going to choose GPT 4.1 over here. And here we're going to add the prompt. So I'll click on expression right here and expand it to add our prompt. The prompt is on the lines of you receive the name of the restaurant right here. We're dragging the name of the restaurant and the website URL over here. Using this information, suggest dining options available at the restaurant. If possible, reference the type of cuisine and insights from reviews or menus found on the provided website. Make the summary very clear and direct to the point in a single paragraph with less than 50 words. So here I'll click on back to canvas. And then here I'll click on execute serve to generate of cuisine offered by each restaurant. You can see our node is executing over here. Let's give it a second for it to generate for us over here the summary. So here you can see it generated for us the summary of these 10 restaurants over here. So for Lena Trattoria, it offers modern Italian cuisine featuring fresh house-made pastas, classic antipasto, wood-fried pizza, and seasoned desserts. It's amazing. And you can see we're outlining the cuisines offered by the 10 restaurants that we scraped using our node over here. So here, I'll rename this node to cuisine and dining suggestions over here and click on rename. Now the next thing that we're going to add over here, we're going to add our inputs, our restaurant data, and our cuisine that we generated using this node to a database. In our case, we're going to use Google Sheets as our database. So in Google Sheet, I've created a spreadsheet that I've renamed to local restaurant data. In this spreadsheet, I've created a sheet that I've renamed to local restaurant find over here. So you're going to add the website of the restaurant, name of the restaurant, the input text, and the output result over here. So to add our restaurant data to our spreadsheet, here I'm going to search for Google Sheets and click on Google Sheets, and here I'll click on append drawing sheet. Like we did with other nodes, you'll also need to create a credential right here to connect your Google Sheet to Anytime. To do that, we're going to click on sign in with your Google account, and then on the new window that pops up, choose the account that you like to connect to Anytime. And then after choosing the account, a credential will be created. Since I had already done that, I'm going to close this over here, and here I'm going to choose our document, which will be the local restaurant data, and here I'm going to choose our sheet, which will be this sheet right here. And now we're going to map values to our columns with the data we generated using our AI nodes and our Apify tool over here. So for the website, we're going to map it with the website URL over here, name of the restaurant. So we're going to grab it right here. For the input text, will be the input text that we added using our trigger. So now for the input text will be the transcribed text that we transcribed using OpenAI. Now for the output result will be the summary that we generated using the cuisine and dining suggestions node over here. So I'll map it over here, and then I'll click on execute step to add the data to our spreadsheet. You can see our node was executed successfully. Now when I open our spreadsheet, you can see we added the restaurant data over here. We added their website, name, the input text, and the output result over here for each of our restaurants. So we add in the name of the restaurant and their cuisine that they're offering. So this is awesome. Now here, click on back to canvas in our workflow. Here I rename this to restaurant data. And then here I'll click on rename. And then now the last thing that we're going to do here is we're going to output our result in Telegram. So here I'll search for Telegram and click on Telegram. And then here I'm going to click on send a text message node. And for the chat ID, we're going to grab the chat ID from Telegram right here. Then I'm going to map the chat ID over here. Then for the text would be our output result over here. So I'll map it over here. And then now here, I'll click on execute step to send ourselves the restaurants with the cuisine that they offer via our bot. Now you can see here we added our 10 restaurants with the cuisines that they offer to our bot over here. So here are the restaurants name over here and briefly what they offer over here. We're also adding their website URL in case you'd like to learn more over here. So our workflow works perfectly. Then the only thing that I will do is I'll remove these anytime notification right here. So to do that, in our node right here, I'm going to click on add field, and then I'll click on append anytime attribution and turn it off over here. Now we can execute step to send ourselves the restaurants and the cuisines. Now you can see we do not have the N10 notification that we had previously. So our workflow works perfectly right here. Here we are triggering this workflow by recording a voice note over here. We're getting the file, then transcribing the file using this note over here. And here we're outputting the category and the location that we would like to scrape using this node right here. In our case, we like to scrape local restaurants in a specific location. Then after we scrape the restaurants, scrape a total of 10 restaurants. Then we generated cuisine and dining suggestions using this node right here for each of our restaurants over here. And here I click on back to canvas. And then we add in the restaurant data to a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet similar to this one where we add in their website name, input text, and the output result over here. And lastly, we are sending ourselves the name of the restaurant and the cuisine that they offer in the restaurants over here. So now let us test our workflow from start to finish so we can see how it works. So to do that here, I'll unpin this data over here. And then here, I'll click on execute workflow. And then I'll go back to our bot and here I'll record a voice note. So here we can say, find me the best restaurants in Miami. Here you can see that our workflow is executed successfully. Here we trigger this workflow by recording this file. Then we got the file using this node right here. Here's our file. Then using this node, we transcribe the file. Over here, we're transcribing our file. Over here, our text was find me the best restaurants in Miami. And then here, using this node, we are outputting the category and the location over here. So we'd like to find restaurants in this location. And then here, using this node, we are scraping restaurants from that specific location, and we are outputting a total of 10 restaurants. So if you wanted to output more restaurants, all you have to do is adjust this number here. So you can see we're only outputting 10 because over here we've defined as 10. But if you wanted more, you can adjust this number here. Now with our restaurants over here, we are finding the cuisine that they serve in their restaurants over here by adding the name of the restaurants and their website URL. And then we add in the restaurant data to a spreadsheet. And then we're sending ourselves the name of the restaurants and the summary of the cuisine that they serve via Telegram right here. So now when I open our spreadsheet right here, you can see we added 10 more local restaurants data over here, so we can insert a row above to separate the two rounds. So here we're adding the website URL, the name of the restaurant, input text, and the output results over here. And now when I open our bot, you can see here we sent ourselves the 10 restaurants with the summary of the cuisine that they offer in each of the restaurants over here. So for Cubata, they offer authentic Spanish Cuban cuisine featuring tapas, paellas, seafood, and classic Cuban sandwiches, similar to all these other restaurants over here. This is amazing. So our workflow works perfectly. So here we're recording this voice note and automatically outputting our local restaurants over here with a summary of their cuisine and what they offer over here using the simple workflow that we created right here in N10. So yeah, we are triggering our workflow by recording this voice note over here. Then we're getting the file, transcribing it, and then here we're outputting the category and the location. In our case, the category is a restaurant and the location is Miami. Then we're scraping local restaurants in Miami over here, and we're outputting a total of 10 restaurants. Then here we're generating cuisine and dinner suggestions offered by the specific restaurant that we scraped over here. Then we're adding the restaurant data to a spreadsheet and sending ourselves the restaurant data and the cuisine and the summary of the cuisines via Telegram. So now when I open our spreadsheet, you can see we're adding our restaurant data right here. We're adding the website name, input text, and the output results. Now when I open our bot, you can see the name of the restaurant and the summary of the cuisine for each of our restaurant over here. So we did that by creating this simple workflow right here in N10. If you'd like me to set up this workflow for you, just click the first link in the description to schedule a call with me. On the call, we'll discuss the workflow that you'd like to set up for your business. And then from there, I'll proceed to set up the workflow for you. If you enjoyed the video, and you have an AI agent or a workflow that you like for me to create using Anyten, just comment down below in the comment section. I read all the comments, and if I land on your comment and I find it intriguing, I'll come back on a future video showing you how to create the entire workflow or AI agent from scratch using Anyten. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.